to me. Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Usually Lana does the introductions. Lana is our PTSA president, and then we have Heather on, and usually we co-host these meetings together. And so I just wanted to welcome everyone. We're really excited to have Frank and, okay, say it again. I want to say it right.
Kimi.
Kimi. Okay, sorry. I got to think of it as an E. Yes.
Yeah.
Kimi on with us, and I wanted to get started. We have some questions that were submitted in advance, and these guys were really easy, actually. They just gave me like a 2-line bio. So I'm just gonna introduce them. I'm Sangeeta Modi. I actually no longer have kids at Penn High. My last one graduated in 2021 and is now a junior in college. And my older one graduated from Chadwick and is actually working for the last 2 years. So I've kind of moved beyond all these stages now, but it's a pleasure to continue to host these chats that we started in the pandemic. And it's great seeing all of you here. So first we have Frank, and he is been at Penn for 13 years. Oh, sorry, that's Kimi. Sorry. Okay. This is Frank's second year as an AD after spending the previous 24 years in administration. Getting back into sports has been amazing for him, and he has thoroughly enjoyed getting to know and watching our athletes compete and, get to know them. Kimi is the 13 years at Penn, 12 years in dance, 8 years in speech and debate, and first year as the activities director. So I don't know if maybe Frank, I can hand it to you if there's a few things you want to say, and then Kimi, if you want to say a few things, and then we'll get started on the questions that I have.
Well, mine would be easy. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having us. I'm looking at these pre-written questions, and there's some tough questions for me. So I look forward to making sure that there are no questions after I'm done answering them. But I just wanted to wish everybody, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and I wish you happy holidays coming up in the future. It's gotten here so quick. We have just finished fall sports and are now moving into winter sports. So again, I look forward to answering these questions and having any discussions that are needed.
Okay. Kimi, you want to say anything, or should I just get started on questions?
So hi, everybody. If you see here, I have to have a standing desk. I was in dance for 12 years, and the hardest part of this new position is sitting. So I don't know if I'm just like antsy all the time or what. So I have a standing desk, so you'll have to forgive me here. Our biggest issue, and some of the questions later will address this, but is our participation in ASB membership. And I wanted to explain the difference between the ASB class and ASB membership, because I think that might be part of where the disconnect is. And then I would also love any suggestions from the parents. So there's the ASB class that meets 4th period. Right now there's 37 kids, and they are the class reps, the student body president, and a bunch of commissioners of various topics or sections on campus. That class runs all of the spirit, social, and kind of events on campus. So that would be all of the clubs, all of the dances, all of the pep rallies, all of graduation, all of 8th grade open house, shadow days for the private school students. So the class, along with me and the rest of the administration, we run those events. However, none of that is possible without the student body joining ASB with their membership dues. So that happens usually at the beginning of the year with registration. It's all in the big packet. But those membership dues that the student body contributes to the school pays for everything that we do. So again, as you know, with most things here at school, we're not receiving a budget from the school. It all relies on the generosity of parents and organizations such as yourself. So, for example, thank you so much, PTSA. You guys have helped us with the homecoming pep rally. You helped us with breaking down the walls. You're getting some new speakers for the zoo, and we could not be more grateful for that. But we really need to figure out a way to boost the membership. So some of the perks for being an ASB member is you get into the games for free, football and basketball. You also get a discount for the dances. Here's where I need your help, and I would love your suggestions, is our student body tends to not see that as a perk. So we need to tap into Peninsula kids and figure out how we can get them to be more invested in joining ASB, not the class, just donating. And right now we have about 33% participation in that, which is quite low. I'm in contact with the activities directors at West and South High. West says they get about 50% participation and South gets 75% participation. So I'm shooting for 42% at this point. So that's kind of where we're at. But yeah, that was my spiel. And then I would love it if we could questions or anything else.
Thank you. I think we're going to hold off on questions. Marie, I see your hand up. I actually want to do this in question format first. So hold that thought and we will go back to it. I just kind of want to do a brief introduction right now and then get into questions. So I appreciate your patience. Thank you. All right. Some of the questions in the beginning are for Frank. And I'm going to read, as I told them when I sent this to them, I put everything on here as is submitted. So I don't, change any language or anything like that. And most of the people that have asked questions, some can attend today, some cannot. So that's why I also wanted to record this coffee chat this morning. Okay, Frank, for the first one, will there be a signing day this year? Other schools did them for all 3 levels of athletes on November 8th, including PV, but Penn did not, though there are several committed.
Yes, we are going to have a signing day. That signing day will be February 1st. Last year, we did have a fall and a spring signing day, mainly because we had a number of kids committed in the fall time already. Last year, I believe there were 9 kids who were committed already in the fall, so we were able to celebrate them. And then in the spring, we had 10 more. This year, not so much. This year, I only know of 3 kids that have committed. So what I'm hoping for is maybe some football kids get looked at, maybe some soccer kids get looked at, and then we can have a big winner signing ceremony February 1st, which is actually the National Letter of Intent signing day for the NCAA. So yes, there will be one in February 1st.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, are there guidelines for how many tryouts and the structure that must be adhered to for coaches to run tryouts fairly across all the sports that need to cut players? It seems like some sports do not run tryouts in a way where the kids can actually be assessed. The decisions are made before the kids show up based on club affiliations, etc., and the tryouts are brief and just for show.
Yeah, that's a difficult question for me because I was a basketball coach for many years in high school, and I guarantee you, I wanted the best team possible that I could put on the floor, and I would never, ever not have a kid with talent or who fit into my system be a part of the program. So I really do not put a template for coaches to run their tryouts because each tryout is different for each sport. Of course, you're looking for different things for each sport. What I do ask coaches is that they have their entire staff there for those tryouts so that there are a number of eyes looking at kids. And how I used to put it for kids was basically a tryout is getting ready for a job interview. You have a small window to make an impact on those coaches to want them on your team, on their team. So, again, that's a difficult one as far as the club affiliation. I think most kids now play club sports that go on and play high school sports. I have not heard of any situation where a kid was not picked into a program based on what club he was in. So again, there are no templates for tryouts except for the fact that I want the entire staff there looking, and I don't think there's any way that I can give them guidelines because each sport looks for different things.
Thank you. What do the team participation fees versus the athletic booster club pay for? Is there any other source of funding for athletics?
That's a really good question, and that is a question that confuses a lot of parents. So hopefully I can clarify for you. So the participation donations, I apologize, for each program basically pay for referee fees and for tournaments that teams play in. Okay. And depending on the number of kids in that program, there could be more money for bus transportation at the end, because right now, bus transportation costs have gone absolutely through the roof. Most of the time, our teams do not use bus transportation unless they are traveling a distance. And normally when that happens, you're talking about $1,000 bus ride just for a few hours to go to Orange County. So bus transportation fees have really, really cut into our ability to get players there without carpooling. The Booster Club, on the other hand, pays for legacy items. For example, our next Booster Club, I'm going to present a proposal from our boys and girls water polo club because they need new shot clocks. So the Booster Club will pay for those types of legacy items that will be used year after year by a number of kids. The participation donation goes just for this year. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody, and you can understand the difference.
Yes, thank you. How do practice times and the usage of fields and other facilities allocated to the various teams? It seems that preference is always given to football and very little to boys lacrosse, for example. Also, there was no summer boys lacrosse last summer. Will this program return this summer?
Another really good question. Facility usage here at Peninsula is it is a tough beast to manage, but the teams that are in season have practice priority. So football was named as an example. Football has stadium practice priority from August 1st until the end of their season in October. They do not step back onto the stadium field then until May. Then soccer is the next field priority for practice. They are the winter sport. So in the fall, let's say football is away, soccer is the next in line to get practice time on the stadium field or the softball field. Now, in the past, the softball field has been used for lacrosse. This year, we had girls flag football. That was an added sport, and it was great. They took over that space. So what happens is basically spring sports have to get very creative with their kids. Most coaches go into the weight room 2 or 3 days a week. They go down to the track to go ahead and condition, because really for spring sports, which boys lacrosse is, there really isn't any practice time available. They will get some practice time in the winter when soccer is away. They can take over what soccer has as far as those fields go. And the same thing goes for the gym. In the fall, girls volleyball has practice priority, so basketball has to kind of go around them. In the winter, it's basketball. Boys volleyball really doesn't have a whole lot of time until February when winter sports ends. So yeah, facility planning here is quite a feat. I have 2 pages of facility management in my little folder here that I try to keep everything straight and not have any conflicts. As far as summer sports goes, summer sports is not run by Peninsula High School or Palos Verdes High School. It is run by the Peninsula Ed Foundation. They're the ones who run all of those programs. Whether or not a coach decides to run a program is up to that coach. So if you have a question about boys lacrosse for the summer, my suggestion is you reach out to the head coach of lacrosse. He'll give you the answer as to whether or not he's going to run a summer program.
Thank you. Next one, can Frank provide an overview of the upcoming league changes effective next year? What they are and do they impact all sports? He may be planning to cover this already as there was an article in the paper about it, but it only mentioned football. I had thought it was going to be for all sports.
Another outstanding question. Yes, there is a releaguing process going. The CIF has made a decision that they want competitive equity in all of their leagues. So what's happened is, based on the last 2 years of performance, is how teams are going to be releagued for next year. Now, the only teams that have been releagued so far are fall sports teams, and I can give you an update with that. Girls volleyball, they're in probably the toughest league in California, if not the country. They have been now down to the Pioneer League. They're going to be playing the Torrance schools, probably Santa Monica being in that, quite possibly Culver City. Boys water polo is moving to the Pioneer League with pretty much the same teams. The teams that have been successful in the fall, girls tennis, cross country, girls golf, will remain in the top Bay League because they've had a lot of success and they will do well there. The only difference in all of this releaguing process comes with football. Football has been based on the last 2 years of max prep rankings, okay? The other sports are not going to be looked at like that. So the last 2 years of max sports rankings, max prep is a website that we all follow. They do rankings for all CIF teams, etc., just in case you didn't know that. So football next year will move down into the Pioneer League, and the teams would be Santa Monica, North Torrance, South Torrance, Torrance, and Redondo will be the teams that will be in football next year. And for those of you who follow football, we've been very competitive with those teams over the past couple of years. So I think it's a good move for us right now. The other sports, as I said, winter and spring, will be made determined on how things go this year in that sport.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so those were specific to Frank. Thank you so much. The next question actually kind of applies to both of you, and it's a great segue to get into the ASB side of things as well. So I'll just ask it, and however either one of you want to respond, and then after that we'll go on to some of the things that was mentioned in the beginning. So the question is, when athletes have to miss school for games, teachers are notified and it is an excused absence, but the same does not seem to be extended to missing school for 7th period activities, classes such as MUN, debate, link crew, robotics, and more. Why is this? It doesn't seem these absences should be logged as unexcused.
I'll take this one since this happens to me a lot for debate. So they are excused. A lot of it falls with the 7th period classes because they are coached by walk-ons. So it might be as simple as they don't know the process for excusing the kids. So that could be issue number one. Say something like solar boat or mock trial. Those are run by walk-on coaches or parent volunteers. Dr. D should know how to excuse the kids for MUN, and it should be considered an excused absence. I know, for example, speech and debate has a tournament tomorrow. We're leaving at 4th period. I've already informed the student, the attendance office with a list of all the kids who are leaving, and it's going to be put in as a student activity. So it might be a glitch in the process, not like a school policy, if that makes sense. Now, if this question was directly from one of my debate parents, then that's a separate conversation that we have to have on the side because there is a little caveat. But if the whole team is competing in a school-wide activity, it should be excused. So there's a glitch in the communication there.
Okay, thank you. Frank, did you want to add anything to that, or?
I thought Kimi explained it better than I could, to be honest with you.
Okay, perfect.
I know the athletic part. I'm not sure how the non-athletic piece fits in it and how they do it. I'm assuming it's close to the same, but I think
Perfect. Thank you.
it's actually a huge part of my job. Like I have been pulling student ID numbers. Like for example, Willenberg yesterday, about 400 kids went to Willenberg. So we had to pull all of those student IDs to get them excused from class. That was considered a school activity. So yeah, I feel like I'm doing that a lot. Breaking down the walls, we had to provide a whole list of all the participants, all of which should be considered a school activity. So seventh periods should be included in that. So maybe that's like an issue for administration. Maybe we need to address that. We need to get everybody on board with the same process.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and I know you had a PDF, like a slide you had submitted earlier. Do you want that, now that Lana's on, do you want that to be shared, or should we just go on with like your, it's fine? Okay, yeah, because you kind of mentioned some of that already. Yeah, okay, perfect, no problem. Okay, so I guess you kind of touched on some of this stuff, but I want to open it up to you now. Some of the questions was, you know, how do kids get involved with the actual like running for office for ASB? Some feel like it's always the same kids that get that every year, and what all does ASB oversee? And you address some of this in the beginning, so I'll just like let you take that on, and once you're done speaking, I know you wanted some suggestions or parents had comments, but once you're done and we get to that part of it, we will turn off the recording as well. Thank you.
Okay, so again, getting involved in the actual ASB class, there are elected positions. That is ASB president and vice president, secretary and treasurer. Those are 4 elected positions. And oftentimes those are not, sorry, I'm in a meeting right now. Okay, thank you. Those are uncontested. So sometimes it feels like it's the same kids because there's only one running. So they win by default. The other elected positions are the class reps. So that is freshmen, president, vice president, all through seniors. So those are the elected positions. And yeah, it does seem to be a bit of automatic turnover because the same kids run and they already have a reputation, so they're voted in. And then we have our appointed positions. These are all of the commissioners. Commissioner of Athletics, Commissioner of Technology, Commissioner of Publicity, Commissioner of, we added a new one, Inclusion and Representation, Commission of Internal Affairs. These are appointed, so kids have to interview for these, and then we as the ASB committee appoint them to those positions. Those tend to have higher turnover rather than the elected positions. So like I said, this year we have 37, which is more than we've normally had. I think we're up from 32 because they created some new positions because we wanted more kids to be able to participate. As far as another complaint that I've heard is that it's always the same kids participating in the pep rally. You know, they ask their friends to do musical chairs or whatever it is. Early in the year, we did this 4A leadership workshop, which got a group of nominated or recommended kids to kind of talk about school culture and how we can improve it. And in separate groups with no discussion amongst each other, every single group said that the best thing about Peninsula is all of the opportunities we offer. We have so many clubs, activities, extracurriculars, and they love that. However, there is not equal publicity or representation in how those events are attended and or participated in. So we took that information to heart. We have new commissioners of inclusion and representation. They are linking up with PLUS, Link Crew, and Service Learning, the other leadership groups on campus, to form a committee to make sure that there is attendance at all of the events. So like the choir concert, the orchestra concert, JV football, JV water polo, some of the more under-attended events we are trying. Other things that we're trying to do is get different people to participate in the pep rallies. So for example, we're doing tomorrow a twin event. We're having speech and debate participate. It's not just going to be the dance groups and some of the more like popular, well-represented groups. So we're trying. It's not perfect because the people that are often participate are also the ones that are willing to participate. So it's kind of a like self-fulfilled prophecy in how that works. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that kind of was all the all the questions that were submitted in advance. So I think we can turn off the recording if we don't mind. That would be excellent. Thank you so much. And then we can go on to, I know Maria has her hand up, and